So thank you for joining me today. As I mentioned before, I'm a part-time student at Cambridge studying sustainability or sustainability leadership. And as I mentioned, my master's dissertation that I'm working on involves research around sustainable diets and vegetarianism and sort of the lessons we can learn from vegetarians to sort of influence or inform policies around sustainable diets. So thank you for joining me today. I'm going to ask you a few questions about vegetarianism and sustainable diets. And if there are any questions you don't want to answer, that's completely fine. We'll skip over them. But before we start in terms of the questions, do you mind just like introducing yourself and telling me a little bit more about your sort of professional and academic background and anything else that you think might be relevant to call out?
Yeah, my name is Pankaj Jain. I was born in India and have been a vegetarian ever since I was born there in Rajasthan. And I did my undergraduate studies in computer science, but later moved to US. And then I became a professor of Indian culture, religions, films, and so on. And I've published my research on these kind of issues, sustainability and many other related topics. Now I teach in India at Flame University.
Okay, fantastic. Sorry, I'm also going to admit my own note taker here for a second. Okay, great. So I'll jump into the questions now, and some of them are going to seem a bit straightforward, but I've asked a number of different people these questions across different areas of expertise, et cetera. So I'm doing that more for like a comparative purpose. So the first question is simple, and it's just, how would you define vegetarianism?
Sure, yeah. Vegetarianism, or in Indian languages, Shakahar, Shak means vegetables. One who consumes mostly 99% only fruits, vegetables, grains, and so on. They might occasionally take, they do regularly take, especially in Indian context, dairy products, but that's considered part of being a vegetarian. So that's what differentiates vegetarians from vegans or meat eaters. I mean, it's pretty common, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you are a vegetarian as well, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Now I have a few sort of questions around motivations and reasons that people might do this. So in your view, what makes people adopt a vegetarian diet?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I and millions of Indians like me, millions of Hindus, Jains, have been vegetarians for centuries, right? Even before we realized that we are vegetarians, we were always vegetarian
Mm-hmm.
for over 2000 years now in India, ever since Buddha and Mahavir were born in India. And before Buddha and Mahavira were born, Buddhism and Jainism were not that popular before they were born. And Hindus were sacrificing animals and consuming meat in India also. Hindus were also doing it. But with the influence of Buddha and Mahavir, I guess it must have taken a few centuries, and then people stopped or reduced animal sacrifice quite a bit. And now for thousands of years, with by some estimates, around 40% of people in India have never consumed meat, not even egg or chicken or
Mm-hmm.
any kind of meat or even
Mm-hmm.
seafood.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not saying that all Indians are vegetarians. And animal sacrifice still happens in some rare, remote areas of India and Nepal. Even though majority of people in India and Nepal are Hindus, yet those things are also happening. But it has really considerably reduced quite a bit. And with all surveys across the world, we see that consumption of meat in India per person is much, much less compared to US, UK, where you are living right now, and in the US, where I'm sitting right now. Compared to many Western countries, even China and Australia and Brazil. So South America, Africa, North America, and China and Europe, compared to all major economies, Indians consume least amount of meat per capita, per person. So what are the motivation? That was a question, sorry. So motivation,
Yes.
I think,
Yeah.
started with spiritual, philosophical ideas from Buddhism, Jainism, and later Hinduism, that the divinity is not just in the heaven. Divinity is not just in temple or church. Divinity is in every particle of the universe, says
Mm.
Hinduism. Buddhism
Mm.
says Buddha nature is in every particle of the universe.
Mm.
Jainism says every soul, every living being, every sentient being has a soul, and soul is living. Soul
Right.
is striving to attain its liberation. All three are saying the same thing, similar things, not exactly same, but all three, Buddhism, Jainism, and Hinduism, all three are saying similar things. So that must have inspired Hindus, Jains, Buddhists for thousands of years to regard not just fellow humans, but every creature on the planet as sacred, divine. Every creature has full right to exist and to enjoy his or her life,
Mm.
right? And
Hmm.
so the compassion for animals should not be limited to our dogs and cats inside our houses, but that
Right.
compassion for animals should be
Mm.
for, so there should not be any double standards, right? Our dogs and cats are like our family members, but when I go for my breakfast, lunch, or dinner, I happily consume a goat or a chicken or a cow or a buffalo, right? Or a
Right.
pig, pork, or whatever. That
Mm.
same standard should apply to every creature, not just to our food, but even, let's say, a bug comes inside my house. I have
Mm.
no right to kill that bug. I should usher
Mm.
that bug very peacefully, full of compassion, full of care, that that bug has every right to live. That bug was living in that spot for thousands of years before I intruded and built my house. I have no
Mm.
right to kill a bug. So that
Right.
bug should be let out. A reptile, a serpent, whatever I see around me, a bee, a bug, a fly, I have no right to kill any creature. And not just creature, even I have no right to kill a tree or a plant.
Mm.
Plants and trees have been existing on this planet for millions of years, and we came and we start destroying everything. Plants also have life. Plants have soul, according to Hindus, Buddhists, and Jains. All three are saying the similar thing. So that idea of, it's not just compassion, it's respecting one's right to exist,
Right.
and not taking away that right for our selfish purpose. Oh yeah, my answer probably is a bit longer than you expect, but yeah, answer
No, that
question
was
both ways.
great. Thank you. Okay, so then I'd be curious to understand your perspectives on my next question because you it sounds like you've spent time in India, but you've also spent time in the US, which is
Almost equal time, equal years in India and US. Yeah.
okay. So I'm American. So
Okay.
like I know like America's a very meat heavy culture.
Number
So
one. Yes.
yeah. So in your view, what do you think are like the social or cultural factors that make it easier to follow a vegetarian diet? And like my focus is more on the UK, but I'd be curious to hear your perspectives about those things in India, but also in the US.
Yeah, it's difficult to compare India and US. Like I said, India was privileged and fortunate to have Buddha and Mahavir that inspired, and Hindus joined the bandwagon of stopping the meat consumption, stopping animal sacrifices, and becoming vegetarian. So for over 2000 years, India has been practicing vegetarianism without even realizing it. It was just it's part of our DNA now, right? For most Indians. And even though those Indians who do consume meat, they're not like Americans or British people, like they don't eat meat twice or thrice a day. They may take an occasional fish or a chicken maybe once a week or maybe once a day or at the most, but not like thrice a day. Breakfast meat, lunch meat, dinner meat, not like Americans or British. So what are the reasons? Uh, yeah, I think good news is that both in the US and in the UK, meat consumption is declining.
Right.
It's at the lowest levels, both
Right.
in both the countries. So already this awareness is spreading. People are realizing how violent lives they have been living all these centuries in both these countries. Both, entire Euro-American civilization is built on violence.
Mm.
Every act, almost every part of life has violence inbuilt. When we switch with the temperature of our air conditioner that we use in the US, right? I'm not, right now in the US. So every building that I have entered, it's so cold. That's violence. Violence to air, violence to your surroundings. You don't need that much. That air conditioner that you're blowing, it's coming at a great cost to nature because it's running on a natural gas. Natural gas you're pulling away from nature, pulling away from Earth. That's great violence to Mother Earth, Mother Nature, Mother Land.
Mm.
So
Mm.
violence is inbuilt. Violence defines Euro-American civilization. Violence against
Mm.
nature, violence against animals, violence against fellow human beings. Violence runs our economy in the U. I'm speaking as a U.S. citizen, by the way, but violence runs our
Okay, me too.
economy. Violence is what drives our economy. Every drug that we manufacture, I don't know how many thousands of animals we act cruel, we spread cruelty across animal kingdom, and we get those drugs, and then supposedly we are helping fellow human beings, but at what cost? Again, at great violence to animals, birds, reptiles, I don't know, rodents, and nature. So it's so difficult to come. But again, I don't mean to sound very negative, but the good news is that people are becoming aware. They want to reduce their carbon footprints. And because of carbon footprint, the great idea such as carbon footprint, which is, I think, a pioneering idea from Euro-American civilization, that is hopefully will also help fellow Indians who might be turning towards more meat consumption, but they are already alarmed that we should not follow the bad habits of Euro-American people. We should learn from good habits of Euro-American people also, who are becoming aware and reducing their carbon footprints, who are turning towards more EV-based cars and who are becoming more and more vegan. So some of the Euro-American people now are vegans. They have gone beyond vegetarians, and now they're cutting down even their dairy products. So that is something to learn for Indians from Euro-American societies. So it goes both. So yeah, so good news is that awareness is spreading. People are becoming aware that even dairy is extremely violent in many cases, especially Euro-American dairies are all, again, built on the foundation of violence. A lot of torture and rape of cattle is happening as we speak. That is how we're getting our dairy products from American and Euro-American dairies. So this awareness has to spread more: ethical awareness, environmental awareness, health awareness. What is cruelty to nature is also cruelty to our own health. Red meat is one of the biggest, probably the biggest reason for more and more heart diseases, more and more diabetes, more and more world hunger, more and more water scarcity, more and more fossil fuel wastage, more and more greenhouse gas emissions. This is the top reason. So from every account, from every reason, every factor now scientifically, ethically, religiously, spiritually argues for cutting down the carbon footprint, and red meat consumption is the biggest reason for the destruction of our own health and planet's health. That awareness is, yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that. My next question is, what do you think are the socioeconomic factors that make it easier to follow a vegetarian diet?
It's again loaded question, and I can give you. See, socioeconomically, it is easier and cheaper in the US to buy red meat. It is such an unfortunate fact, such a cruel fact, such a crazy fact that you can buy a piece of red meat, beef, in a grocery store, let's say in the middle of a downtown in New York or in any city in the US. But it's probably more difficult to get local fruits and vegetables at cheaper prices in American cities and suburbs. Exactly opposite in India. It is easier and cheaper to buy local fruits and vegetables in Indian villages, towns, big towns.
Right.
Red meat is not easily available in India, at least in my understanding. I hope I'm not wrong. But it's like completely opposite. I'm not sure how we designed our cities that we have these food deserts in New York.
Yeah.
What we mean by that is food desert is where you don't get fresh vegetables and fruits in big city, but red meat is easily available. So it's so weird, and so, it's just completely opposite of what should be what food should be ideally available in big city, in every part of America, is not easily available. And that fruits and vegetables are not as affordable, let's say a McDonald's hamburger, which is crazy, which is really crazy. So, I mean, how do I explain that? Socioeconomically, the whole society has to be built on the foundations of fresh fruits, vegetables, grains, lentils, pulses, available at cheap prices, at affordable prices, and every part of street there should be grocery stores. Like in India, you don't have these issues at all. Availability of local fruits and vegetables and grains and lentils and pulses are widely available in India. So, and I guess our entire society economy runs on these freshly available vegetarian options. Not in America, or I'm not sure England, but I can speak for US. So totally different ballgame we are. So yeah, I don't know where to begin, but it has to be more and more local stores, I guess, what we call as mom and pop stores don't even
Yeah.
sell these fruits, vegetables, and
Mm.
pulses and lentils and grains in the US. I've not seen. What I see is big grocery stores such as Kroger's or Whole Foods or no, which are not at every street. They are maybe in one in every town. But then we have food deserts where
Right.
we don't have these options available, right? Okay. Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. So, just mindful of the limited time. So,
Mhm.
I'll move on to sustainable diets
Sure.
now. So, another simple question, how would you define a sustainable diet?
The diet that sustains our health and the health of the planet is a sustainable diet. A diet that has least carbon footprint is a sustainable diet. That diet can never include red meat. Red meat
Mm,
is the most unsustainable diet in the world that has been proven by dozens and dozens, probably hundreds of reports now by United Nations, by so many agencies, by Wildlife Fund, and so many more. Green Dex was an index developed by National Geographic magazine, and they counted the carbon footprint of every major economy in the world. In every survey that they did from 2008 to 2012, every time they found that India has the least carbon footprint because of no red meat in their diets, in Indian diets. So such sustainable diet can never be meat consuming diet. So that also, so there are so many such surveys and so many reports are available on widely available on the internet also. So yeah, so less and less carbon footprint means less and less red meat, especially red meat. Yeah. So that's my definition. I think I'll stop here. Yeah.
okay. So you actually guessed my next question, which was to what extent does this differ from a vegetarian diet? So I think you already covered that.
Yeah.
So I'll move on to the next question, which is similar to one of the other ones that I asked you.
Mhm.
So, what are the social or cultural factors that make it easier to follow a sustainable diet?
That also, I guess I covered that. Like I said, I kept saying more than 2 millennia, India has been blessed and privileged to have the influence of Buddha and Mahavir and so many more leaders, spiritual leaders, cultural leaders, social leaders, Gandhi being the latest example, and many others. We just know one Gandhi, but Gandhi influenced Sundarlal Bahuguna in North India. And then we have Swadhyaya movement, Pandurang Shastri. Everybody spoke always against meat consumption. Every Hindu leader, every Buddhist leader, and of course every Jain leader always heavily advocate against consuming meat at every level. North India, South India, East, West, everywhere. Every spiritual leader has always taught not to hurt animals, not just for food, but like I said in the beginning, not to hurt anyone, any creature, any plant. Always respect their life, their right to exist. It's a privilege. It's a right. It's our duty, and it's our right. It's our privilege to let everybody else have that privilege also. So that those are the factors, and I guess now good news is that even in the Western civilization, the teachings of major religions, especially Christianity, I think, are now being reinterpreted, and everybody is taught to practice stewardship towards nature. We are not just
Mm,
consumers or
right.
domineering agents on the earth, according to Christianity. Now, the new interpretation of Christianity, in the Genesis, in the first chapter of the Bible, Old Testament, sorry, Genesis says that humans have this right of dominion on other nature. But that dominion is now being reinterpreted. And
Mm,
now Christian leaders, theologians are saying that dominion does not mean dominate. It
right.
means to take care of your fellow beings
Mm,
on this
that's
planet. Be a
interesting.
steward. Be a good
Right.
steward for your fellow creatures on this planet. So if that new interpretation spreads across the Christian world, Christians are almost 2.5 billion people on this planet. If we
Mm,
combine the entire population of China and India, we still cannot match the population of Christians in the world. So if
right.
Christians can take this one idea of stewardship for every creature on the planet, every tree and every
Mm,
plant on the planet, we can save the planet very easily. Such a large number of Christians across the world, right? Not just Euro America, but North America, South America, Europe, but also in Philippines, South Korea, and South Korea, and Africa, right? So Christians have to, I guess, as a scholar of religious studies, I I I hope that Christians will take up this new message of the Bible and practice this compassion, not just for their dogs or cats, but also towards every creature, every reptile, every rodent, every bug around the entire planet. That can, I think, save our planet easily if we take that message. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's a really interesting point about stewardship and like dominion versus being more like a caretaker. I haven't heard that yet, so that's really interesting. Um, okay, so then I'm going to ask another similar question. So, what are the socioeconomic factors that make it easier to follow a sustainable diet?
Yeah, I already covered, I think, right? That all these teachings, all these perspectives, being very careful, being very humble, that as I walk, I've seen people in India, my grandmother, grandfather, when I was growing up in a small town in Rajasthan, northwestern state of India, I saw people walking very carefully, not to step on a bug, not to step on an ant.
Right.
I should walk so carefully, right? Now in the US, if I'm walking outside in the street, I don't even see any bug. All the bugs we've already exterminated, all the wild beasts. Do you know India is the only country even today where there are all these large mammals? We have lions in India, tigers, leopards, elephants, even rhinoceros. All these
Mm,
large beasts you don't find anywhere else in any other country on this planet, only in India.
mm,
Why?
mm,
Why all these, all with 1.5 billion humans in India, you find these large beasts roaming around in the national parks, or even they sometimes cross the national park boundaries and enter the surrounding village. Even then, people don't kill them.
right.
Tigers in the Sundarbans, tigers are still living. You find all kinds of these, and all this coexistence happens in India for some socio-cultural reasons, what you've been asking again and again, but it's beyond social culture. I think it includes spiritual reasons, philosophical reasons that has trickled down to socio-cultural way of life in India, where you find all these amazing biodiversity. Biodiversity is not just a
Mm,
new word for Indians. It has been part of their DNA for thousands of years. For thousands of years. This is what is so strikingly different from compare if we come in the US on the highways. If a deer comes, the local government will start campaigns to kill deers because they are
mm,
creating traffic nuisance. Pedestrians are prohibited from entering national highways in the US.
right.
In India, there are signs on national highways. This is an elephant populated area. Drive your slow down your car, let the elephants pass on national highways.
Mm,
Elephants are being encouraged, and
mm,
on US national highways, humans are not allowed.
right.
Look at the difference, you're right. So it's the
Mm,
entire philosophy of, like I began saying, compassion, spirituality, right to survive, right to exist, right to live life. That has to be taught to those ideas have to be taken by everyone if we really are serious about socio-cultural factors to influence our consumption, our carbon footprint. We have to take these ideas. There's one saying which is attributed to Mahatma Gandhi, that a country or a civilization is known by how it treats its animals. I'm not sure if Gandhi
right.
actually said that. We don't know exactly, but Gandhi did practice those ideas to the letter and to spirit.
Mm,
Right? So if that becomes the lens, how we judge a civilization or a country, we have to be really serious, and we have to really watch how we are treating our fellow animals and fellow creatures and fellow serpents and bugs and on and on. Yes. Okay. How much time you have? I don't know. Yes.
cool. Okay, so that was great. So then I have one last question for you,
Sure.
which comes back to the ultimate research question.
Mhm.
So, in summary, what lessons do you think can be learned from the experiences of vegetarians to inform policies promoting sustainable diets?
Yeah, I think I've been covering that point also the entire time. So I think one really big policy we really need is never have these food deserts, what we call in the US.
Hmm.
In India, the desert is only in one part of Rajasthan where there is actually only sand and soil.
Right.
And there is, for miles and miles, there is not even a water. So that is the desert that I knew. I grew grew up around a desert in Rajasthan where I was born. But in food
Yeah,
desert is such a foreign phrase for me, for my Indian
right,
ears in the US. So there should not be any food desert in the US. So
right.
that's a big policy change we need. So like I said earlier also, that local fresh fruits and vegetables and grains and lentils should be available really widely and at an affordable price across Euro-American societies. That one big policy decision I think we should really adopt from a country like India, which runs on these local economies, local fruits and vegetables, right?
Mm,
And other ideas I've been already touching upon at that time, that these respecting everyone's idea of existence. It's so difficult. I mean, it's easy to say, but when we so easily bomb a country like Iran or Iraq or
yeah,
Syria or Lebanon, we don't even let humans
of
live
course.
comfortably. And how, I'm not sure how, if if those ideas will ever be taken by Euro-American leaders, political leaders I'm talking about. But I think we can begin at the spiritual level. I think if, like I
Mm,
said, if theologians can take it, if churches can take it up, these ideas, and if our
mm,
lifestyle, our common people across Euro-American society, if they can take these ideas, and if they can from
right.
ground zero, from bottom up, if we can start some kind of a compassion revolution in
Yeah.
Euro-America, then I think
Mm,
hopefully we can influence our leaders, because political leaders, they run on the nexus of military and economy. The entire economy
right.
runs on more and more expenditure on the military. So it's difficult at the top level, but at bottom level, we can hopefully bring about these changes.
So via communities almost more than top-down policy.
Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. Can you
Oh, so
repeat?
you think maybe more through like communities of
Yes,
like faith, et cetera,
yes,
versus
yes, yes.
something top down.
Many churches have taken community gardens, the church
Mm,
campuses in even in Texas where I'm sitting right now. They have
yeah.
these community gardens where they grow their own locally fresh fruits and vegetables. Farmers markets are becoming more and more popular, even in Texas, right?
Mm,
So those ideas I think should spread even more
mm,
far
mm,
and wide. Yeah.
mm. Okay. Well, I think we're about at the 30-minute mark. So I just want to say thank you again for your time. And for speaking with me today. I think that was really interesting. You brought up some ideas that haven't come up yet in the interviews, so that's very helpful, and I really appreciate
Sure.
it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for this opportunity. I hope I
Thank you. Have a
enjoyed
good rest of
talking.
your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.